Imagine standing in the throne room of heaven. Light blazes from the Creator himself, a brilliance so pure that even the angels veil their faces. Millions of voices rise in perfect harmony, filling the endless halls with a sound too majestic for human language. This is the center of all creation, where nothing is out of order, where justice and love meet in flawless unity. But then, into that perfection, a shadow crosses the floor. Not an angel radiant with holiness, not a servant offering worship, but a figure cloaked in defiance. The adversary, the deceiver, Satan. The one who was cast down now stands in the presence of the Almighty. The book of Job records it without hesitation. One day the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. That sentence alone can stop your breath. How can rebellion stand before holiness? How can the one who twisted creation walk boldly into the very courtroom of the Creator? This is no accident, no intrusion. It is a confrontation. Light and darkness, truth and accusation, face to face before the Judge of all. And hidden in that scene is a truth that touches not only Job's story, but your own life and faith in ways you may never have considered. Stay with me, because what happens next may change how you understand suffering, accusation, and the unseen battles around you. And if you want to keep uncovering the hidden mysteries of Scripture, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss what's coming. The Heavenly Courtroom. The book of Job opens a curtain most of us never expect to peek behind. Scripture tells us plainly, one day the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. Job 1:6. Fact. This is not speculation. It is described as a gathering, almost like a formal court session, where heavenly beings stand before the Creator to give account. In ancient Near Eastern traditions, courts of divine beings were familiar imagery, but here it is placed in the context of Israel's God, the one true judge of all creation. Try to picture it. Angels radiant and countless assembled in solemn reverence. The air is thick with the weight of eternity. The throne of God towers above them, a seat of justice and mercy fused into one. Nothing in this place is random. No being enters by chance. Yet the tension rises as a figure steps forward whose presence seems utterly out of place. Cloaked in shadow, marked not by glory, but by defiance, Satan stands among those who serve the Lord. He does not sneak in. He is not chained outside the gates. He comes as if summoned because he still holds a role to play. This moment rattles the imagination. How can rebellion appear in the very seat of holiness? Why would God permit the enemy into his court? Those questions are not distractions. They are the doorway into one of the deepest mysteries of faith. And as the narrative unfolds, what seems at first like a contradiction will reveal a drama that reaches into our lives today. Satan the accuser. The Hebrew word Satan means accuser or adversary. This is fact. He is not described in Job as sneaking or deceiving his way into God's presence, but as taking a role before the Lord. In the context of the heavenly courtroom, he functions as a prosecuting voice. Tradition within Jewish commentary often imagined him as a figure whose task was to test the integrity of human faith, to press the question of whether devotion was genuine or merely self-serving. Speculation suggests that in this early moment of the biblical narrative, Satan still retained a kind of limited standing, a permission to confront humanity's faith before the Judge of all. Think of it like a courtroom scene. The angels arrive to present themselves loyal and obedient. Yet when Satan steps forward, He does not honor the king. He raises indictments. He points fingers. He casts suspicion on motives. His accusations echo a chilling theme: no human can truly love God without reward. It is not just Job on trial. It is the very possibility of authentic worship. And here is where the prophetic echo touches us. Have you ever heard that same whisper inside your own mind? The suggestion that your faith is shallow, that you only trust God when life is easy. That is the old accusation repackaged in every generation. It is the adversary's strategy then and now. He accuses before heaven, and he accuses in our conscience. The scene grows tense. Satan is not there as a guest or worshiper, but as a challenger. His voice carries venom, but his presence is permitted, and that permission itself raises the next haunting question: why would God allow it? Why God permits it? The text in Job makes a startling claim: God allows Satan to speak. Fact. In Job 1:12, the Lord answers the accuser, "Very well, then everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself do not lay a finger." At first glance, this feels almost unbearable. Why would the Almighty grant any permission to the enemy? Why not silence the accusations before they ever take shape? Tradition often frames this as a test not for God's knowledge, but for the revelation of faith's authenticity. God never lacks information. He already knows Job's heart. But by allowing the accusation to unfold, something deeper is revealed not only to Satan, but to the heavenly witnesses and ultimately to us as readers. Speculation suggests that this courtroom drama is not just about Job. It is about the cosmic demonstration that true love and devotion can exist beyond circumstance. Now turn this toward your own life. Have you ever sat in silence wondering why God doesn't immediately remove the voices of doubt, the weight of temptation, or the sting of hardship? It may not be that he is indifferent. It may be that he knows your faith can stand, and that in your endurance, a testimony is being written larger than you realize. Trials do not always mean punishment. Sometimes they mean proof. And here's the tension: Satan is permitted to accuse, but he is never in control. Even permission comes with boundaries set by the Lord. That is why the story moves next from heaven's courtroom to earth's chaos, where the accusations against Job are tested in the most devastating way imaginable. Job's earthly test losses. When the scene shifts from heaven to earth, the narrative unfolds with relentless precision. Job 1:13-19 lists disaster after disaster. Raiding tribes steal his oxen and donkeys. Fire from heaven consumes sheep and servants. Chaldean raiders sweep away camels. And then, in the most crushing blow, a mighty wind collapses the house where his children are feasting. Fact. In the storytelling style of the ancient world, this messenger after messenger structure conveys more than tragedy. It mirrors the experience of trauma, where one calamity barely settles before another wave arrives. Tradition held Job up as the archetype of righteous suffering. His name became a symbol for endurance under trial. Some scholars speculate that the literary design of these rapid-fire losses was meant to impress on hearers the overwhelming chaos of life when faith is tested. Now pause and consider how many of us have lived through a season when losses pile up faster than we can process. The car breaks down, the job disappears, a loved one falls ill, stacked together until breath feels impossible. Job's story names that reality. He does not know about the courtroom scene. He does not see the accuser smirking in the shadows. All he knows is grief without explanation. The stage is now set for the paradox that silences Satan. Because the next question is not what Job loses, but how he responds in the ashes. Faith in the ashes. The book of Job records his response with unforgettable power. At this Job got up and tore his robe and shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground in worship and said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." Job 1:20-21. Fact. Notice the honesty here. Job does not pretend strength he does not feel. He tears his robe. He shaves his head. He collapses to the ground. These were traditional expressions of mourning in the ancient Near East public acts that signaled brokenness. Tradition affirms this as the posture of one deeply wounded, grieving in the open. And yet within the very same act of lament, worship rises. This is no stoic acceptance. This is anguish intertwined with devotion. Speculation suggests that this moment was not only a personal act of faith, but a cosmic declaration. In heaven's courtroom, Job's worship echoes louder than the accusations. The adversary claimed faith was a transaction, a bargain with blessings. But in the ashes, Job proves that love for God can exist without reward. Let me ask you this. Could you still worship if everything you loved was stripped away? That question is not meant to crush you, but to reveal the hidden strength God believes is in you. Faith is not about never crying. Faith is about holding on when tears blur your vision. This paradox, pain and praise intertwined, becomes the evidence Satan cannot refute. But the adversary is not finished. When accusation fails, once he returns with a deeper strike, aiming not at possessions or family, but at Job's very body. Satan's second challenge. The narrative shifts back to heaven and the courtroom scene repeats. Fact. Job 2:1-3 tells us the sons of God once again present themselves before the Lord, and Satan comes among them. God himself highlights Job's endurance, saying, "He still maintains his integrity, though you incited me against him to ruin him without any reason." This is remarkable. Tradition interprets God's words here as a public celebration of Job's faithfulness. Despite catastrophic loss, Job has not cursed God. His integrity stands, yet Satan cannot accept defeat. His reply is biting. "Skin for skin, a man will give all he has for his own life. But stretch out your hand and strike his flesh and bones, and he will surely curse you to your face." Job 2:4-5. Fact. This is escalation. First the possessions, then the family. Now the body itself. Historical parallels from the ancient world saw physical suffering as the ultimate trial, the one test no human could endure with loyalty intact. Speculation suggests Satan's persistence here reveals not only malice, but a strategy. If external loss cannot destroy faith, perhaps internal agony will. Do you feel the intensity rising? The stakes have shifted from wealth and family to the core of human existence, the will to survive. And in granting permission, again though, with limits, God sets the stage for a confrontation that will test devotion at its rawest. Job's suffering in body. The permission is granted, and suddenly the scene moves from heaven's court back to earth. Job 2:7 describes it plainly. "So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and afflicted Job with painful sores from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head." Fact. What had once been a man of honor, seated at the gates of his city with wealth and reputation, is now reduced to sitting in ashes, scraping his skin with broken pottery. The image is graphic and humiliating. Tradition portrays Job here as not just afflicted, but socially discarded. In the ancient world, disease was often linked to shame, and visible sickness marked a person as cursed or abandoned. And then into this already unbearable pain comes a voice from his own household, his wife crushed by grief. Are you still maintaining your integrity? Curse God and die. Job do you need? Fact, her words, though shocking, reveal the depth of despair she herself carried. Speculation suggests that in this moment, Satan found another mouth to echo his accusation, weaponizing grief itself against Job's faith. Job's reply is quiet but piercing. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble? Job 2:10. This is not denial of suffering. His body is broken, his heart is crushed. Yet even here, Job refuses to curse God. His lips will not validate the accuser's claim. This scene is more than resilience, it is revelation. It shows that devotion can endure beyond comfort, beyond reason, beyond the body's breaking point. Pause and imagine, this could faith survive when every step is pain, when every breath is shadowed by loss? Job's answer is yes. And that yes rings out in heaven's court, silencing accusations once more. But the narrative isn't only about Job's agony, it is about the cosmic pattern his suffering unveils. Step back now and see the larger picture. The book of Job makes something clear. Satan can only operate within boundaries set by God. Fact, twice the adversary presses his accusations. Twice the Lord permits but limits his actions. Satan may accuse, but he is never sovereign. Tradition interprets this as a profound assurance. Human suffering is never random, never unnoticed, and never outside divine oversight. But what does this mean for us? Speculation suggests that Job's trials were not just personal, but cosmic, a demonstration staged before heaven's witnesses that faith can be genuine. The refining fire of loss and pain exposed not weakness, but authenticity. Just as gold shines brighter after being purified in a furnace, so too Job's devotion emerged unshaken. Now consider your own struggles. Could it be that your endurance, your prayers whispered through tears, your refusal to let go of trust are echoing beyond what you can see? Perhaps your perseverance is silencing accusations you never hear. Maybe the trial you face is less about punishment and more about proof that love for God can survive the fire. This is the hidden lesson of Job. The adversary accuses, but faithful love testifies louder. Trials are not wasted. They become living evidence that God is worthy not because of what he gives, but because of who he is. And with that truth hanging in the air, we are ready to draw this journey toward its closing reflection. In the end, the mystery of why Satan appeared before God is not about giving the enemy power, but about revealing the depth of human faith. The accuser came to question, to diminish, to reduce devotion to a transaction. Yet what emerged through Job's trial was a testimony that cannot be silenced. Love for God can be real, faith can be unshakable, and worship can rise even from the ashes. That truth has not faded with time. It still speaks to us today. Perhaps your own life feels like a battlefield of accusations. Maybe doubts whisper that your devotion is shallow, that you only believe when life is smooth. The story of Job reminds us that every act of faith, no matter how small, carries weight in the unseen realm. Your endurance is more than survival. It is evidence, a declaration that God is worthy not because of his gifts, but because of who he is. That truth is as relevant in a modern life of loss, confusion, or uncertainty as it was in the ancient ashes of Uz. So as you carry this mystery with you, let it ask a question that lingers. If your faith was placed before heaven today, what story would it tell? That question is not meant to burden, but to awaken hope. Because the same God who upheld Job is the God who upholds you. Thank you for walking this journey with me through one of the Bible's most haunting and yet hope-filled mysteries. If you want to continue exploring these hidden truths together, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with someone who needs encouragement. It helps more than you know. Until we meet again in the next mystery, may the Lord strengthen your faith, guard your heart, and remind you that even in the ashes, His presence is near. Go in peace, and I look forward to seeing you again.